Ely has many meanings. E-L-Y, Elijah. Elysian. This chapter is called Elysian Fields. The vagina is an Ely. Elytro is the word for vagina in medical parlance. And elytrophy is sewing it up. Elytroncus is a tumor therein. It's very important to me because the cathedral being called Ely and the fact that it has an octagon instead of a tower makes it very different. The octagon is an 8-sided structure that sits on top of the cathedral with 8 vast windows supported by 8 oaks that were brought 200 miles from Herefordshire to create it. And beneath the 8 windows are 8 panels of 8 saints. And the founding saint of Ely is Etheldreda. And from Etheldreda, who created this cathedral in 875, we get the name Ethel, and we also get the name Audrey. And when you behave in a tawdry manner, it becomes tawdry Audrey. If you're being tawdry, you've drunk too much on Etheldreda's feast day. In this chapter, my hero, that's what he's called, my character, has gone to London. He has been asked by an 80-year-old woman, an octogenarian, to do a very dangerous and difficult task. His girlfriend of a few years has left him and moved to London, and rather than face what he's been asked to do by this woman, he has run off to London to see if he can get his old girlfriend back, and also to visit Ely Place in London. And Ely Place was where the princes and bishops of Ely hung out when they were in London. So the reason I chose this chapter is I visit a pub I call the Elysian Fields, the French pub, which is a pub in London where most of the English poets hang out. It's a long-standing pub, and actually a poet who read here not too long ago, Eddie Linden, is featured as a character in this chapter, and George turns up as well. I hope I do Eddie honor in this. In any event, I better get on with it. Elysian Fields. What Francis didn't tell Audrey about London, couldn't tell her about London if he had tried, couldn't even explain to himself, was the feeling of doom and aloneness that he felt in its rushing crowd. The same feeling a young boy has when he's put into school halfway through the year as he watches his peers swirl around him in a way he cannot understand. A threatening mass that he cannot imagine being a part of, the stoned in the midst of the stoners. And then imperceptibly, how that same boy will merge, become a part of, and then join the taunters as they circle the next new innocent. While Francis was in London, he traveled the extremes of his own roller coaster emotions. From a blind fatalism in the face of his horror at the birds of jealousy that swarmed from Stella's presence, to peck and claw at his face, all the way to an emergence into a new sense of mission, accomplishment. As Francis walked away from Liverpool Street, the homeward-bound crowd came flying at him. He had to keep one shoulder down to make headway against it. Men in black bowlers with their furled umbrellas, marching, swinging to the rhythm of their hungry feet, pink pinstripes in parade. The rhythm of his feet moved his mind along, making him think in that easy process of image association, the card tricks of memory that play in the mind when walking becomes the rhythm and action of thinking. It is a state as close to the waking dream as the mind can comfortably enjoy. Stella appearing in various guises and poses, her face in the wallet, Cock's face near, Audrey's calm insistence, and the vision of Etheldreda. Alan rabbiting on, lines that he could have written on the grave in the little tradition, seeing an ancient divine hand in the imprecise masonry of these temples of finance that are the banks that line Threadneedle Street. The city, marching up Shoreditch High Street into Wormwood through Throgmorton Street, down Threadneedle Street, Bishopgate, Houndsditch, Liverpool Street, Finsbury Circus, Moorgate, the Barbican. Churches past, St. Ethelberga, All Hallows on the Wall, St. Margaret Lothbury, St. Lawrence Jewry, St. Mary Le Beau, St. Giles Cripplegate. As Francis turned back once more, he realized that he's been walking in circles about the train station. War sound of jackhammers and diesel engines, streets torn open with wooden temporary bridges over their intestines of bright electric lines and house-sized sewers. Crazy juxtapositions of the past and the about-to-be. The hard steel and glass erections of the future next to the pollution-blackened stone masonry of the past. Walking up Sun Street and down Silk, following signs to the Barbican Centre, which appears as a mountain of raw cement with mold and lichen growing from its corrugated walls. A cultural railway station, opera and theatre, home for Shakespeare, its many galleries. The floor in the entry is made of polished wooden cobbles. Francis enters and finds himself standing in the midst of a glossy splendor. The first show he comes to in the main gallery is A Paradise Lost, the Neo-Romantic Imagination in Britain. And beneath this, the following titles: The Other Even, The Quest, Tracing Ancient Britain, Sheltering in the Fortress, The Overgrown Garden, Tooth and Claw, From Avery to Blake, Romantic Amnesia, etc., etc. Each heading has its own cubicle packed with canvases, each canvas striving towards the title. Each has its careful explication in the incomprehensible language of the art critic. In this canvas, the evanescent flight of light and space form a formless future that creates a matrix out of the aborted apotheosis of the past, etc., etc. Francis feels that he is faced by stills from the movie sequence that make up the last few months of his new obsession. He feels that all this must make sense, that he has been led here. This must be an artistic hexagram that he can resolve the buzzing battles in his head over the loss of Stella and the demands of Audrey. Francis finds himself pacing, feeling caged and threatened in front of the bleak work, feeling a rising fury, a bitter distaste. You know, darling, he hears the couple chit-chatting, I can see the movement, yes, but it's not in the line. But dear, really, it's the sequence, the bleak underground realization. See what I mean? How the artist... hisses Francis. Our tist, he hisses, faces turning as he retreats, still hissing like Kong facing Gertie's Jack Russell. Downstairs he finds a photography show. As he descends, he passes a life-size shot of a barn owl caught in flight, at night, with the light from the flash reflected in the shocked orange of its orbed eyes. This image arrests him at the half point of the stairs and brings Alan to mind. He thinks of Alan in the morning, chanting his favorite limerick, mantra-like over and over as he makes his rounds from bedroom to bathroom, back to bedroom and down to breakfast, his shrill voice singing it out in any number of rhythms, tones, and variations. There was an old bishop from Avery who had habits most unsavory. Amidst lecherous howls he deflowered young owls, which he kept in an underground aviary. Francis decides that Alan would call this owl, this night owl caught in a killing shot of light, an illustration of Elysian catabolism, death in ecstasy, death on the wing, death in the saddle. He reminds himself to try it out on Alan when he gets back. The show he next comes to is an Ansel Adams photography show. Yosemite with its numinous landscapes, its mists and waterfalls, the camera's version of coal, the American dream with its peopleless, magnificent splendor, the particular clarity of the American landscape, its masculine directness and power opposed to the feminine, mystical, and indecipherable aspect of the soft and rounded landscape of Western Europe. Francis thinks of the Catskills, the Alleghenies, the Green Mountains, and then the Rockies that he is looking at in these photographs. Then he thinks of the Welsh Hills, the Pennines, that gentle backbone that an osteopath could manipulate to straighten the bent figure of England, the old witch who rides the pig in endless pursuit of Ireland. The fens in contrast to the plains. As he compares the two landscapes, he searches for his own response, his own sense of place, the grandeur, simplicity, naivety, righteousness, and self-righteousness, or the tortured vision of the neo-romantic imagination in Britain, within the geography that inspired and created it.